Hello, everyone, and welcome to Crypto Atlas. In this episode, we're going to be going down the rabbit hole a little bit further with Polar nodes, as this is an AMA style format. I am here with one of the members of their team. And just a quick little disclaimer, this is a sponsored video and I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Everything I'm sharing is my own opinion. It's my own research. I highly encourage you to go do your own research. In fact, I will be providing links in the description to Polar's own website, to their Discord, and to their Twitter so that you have those resources available. And we have some incredible news to also share with you in this video. And I'm going to go ahead and let Neil be the one to introduce this. But first, let me introduce him to introduce himself. Hi, Neil. How's it going?
I'm doing well, man. How are you?
I'm doing great. Happy to have you here. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are, what it is that you do with Polar, and what this big surprise is?
Yeah, sure. So definitely appreciate you having me on here. It allows us to kind of talk to your audience here and kind of give some better insight on Polar Nodes as a project of itself. So my name is Neil. Some of you may have seen me on some other AMAs, so I go by Neil, in my personal life. However, in Discord, I'm ShibBear, and on Twitter, I'm ShibLord. I'm the community leader for Polar here. I was brought on a little bit late, not a part of the main core team, but I was brought on to be the community leader for them, kind of vocalize their vision to the community and be able to work directly with the community in order to bring a little bit more eyes on Polar and get this whole project moving. That's been my role with Polar. It's been a great time so far. We've been growing, pretty consistently for the last couple months here, and we're looking to further expand that. So what I'd like to kind of debut here today, or at least give out to your audience, is a giveaway. So it's going to be one of our tier 3 nodes, which is the Kilimanjaro node. That is currently 250 Polar, which Polar is trading for about 270 each at this point. So a good little node there. And that node returns 5 Polar per day. So it's a 2% daily ROI from that aspect. So that's what we like to offer to your audience there as a tier 3 Kilimanjaro node giveaway at the end of this video.
And to be able to enter in for that giveaway, ladies and gentlemen, there will be a link to a tweet in the comments down below. That's the easiest way to find it. That'll be over on my Twitter account. It's very easy for the process. Make sure that you do follow their Twitter account as well as mine, and there's just a couple other very simple steps. But that is an incredible giveaway. And without further ado, I do have a series of questions that I'm going to go ahead and present to you. And let's go ahead and start with the first question. Can you tell us a little bit about your project?
Yeah, of course. So we initially started on January 11th of this year. So we've been around for about 2.5 months, coming up on 3 months here, not too long. So we've been around for a minute. When we first started out, it was a one node project, a very, very simple kind of node project as they were all kind of popping up from there. And since then, we developed into a much more extensive project. So we currently have 5 tiers of nodes. And that entry level is from 30 Polar all the way up to 1,000 Polar. So there's a lot of opportunity to get in for for basically any budget at this point. We've also now recently developed what's going to be an NFT marketplace, or basically a Polar marketplace. We're going to bring even more utility to the node project and really give some additional aspects to this that differentiate us from others. We've been around for a little bit here, still growing, still kind of developing from there. As you're navigating this is actually, this is going to be our new website, a new D app. So all these figures in here, don't take them for what they are just yet. They're just fill-ins while we're still kind of debuting it here. This whole thing won't be live for just another little bit, but I want to give you a little bit of teasers on it anyway. So with the tab that we have opened here is the NFT marketplace. So from there, you're going to be able to purchase nodes. You're going to be able to list nodes. And there's going to be some other aspects to it as well, including things that are called lucky boxes, which is kind of like a lottery system. I can definitely go into more about what those might be having to offer. But this NFT marketplace is the biggest thing that we're looking to kind of bring out to the audience for now. We've seen in some other projects where the ability to list nodes as NFTs cause a significant sell pressure, with it being undercut on the open market, obviously, or being used as exit liquidity for whales or for whomever at that point. We designed this in order to avoid that conflict, but also bring a lot of new and improved features to the community itself. Most importantly, is with our own marketplace, instead of it being listed on a public forum, is we have some control on what goes on within this marketplace, of course. So if somebody wants to sell, a Fuji node, which normally is 30 polar, we can set a minimum on that. So they can't be selling it for 29 polar just to undercut the open market if we chose to do that. Now, right now, there aren't a hard set cap for nodes, but there will be at some point. We've been slowly increasing them, especially for our higher tier nodes, in order to stabilize the protocol. Really, we don't want to get out of hand with a supply issue, which has kind of been seen elsewhere, and we're trying to avoid that issue from there. So that's the biggest thing for our marketplace is we're looking to bring like a utility for the Polar token in order to continuously expand our project here. And obviously within this network, you are going to have to be utilizing Polar, which then further incentivizes buying Polar on the open market to continue to purchase nodes, to continue to get rewards, and get that daily ROI that we all seek here in the node space.
I gotta say, I really like your guys' NFTs as well. The fact that it's just not a graphic when you click on it, it's you know animated. You can even see the little birds flapping, and it's funny though. I see things like this, and because it revolves around, right, and it's just consistently keeps going. I can't help it in the back of my mind be like, those poor birds. They're just they never get a break. They're gonna be flying for infinity, forever. There's
Yeah,
a
it gives a
tree
small
right
price to
there.
pay.
They can't land on that beautiful tree. They have to stay in the air forever. But no, they look absolutely incredible. So my next question for you is, you were kind of talking about longevity of the project. What are your long-term goals?
So long-term goals, some of which I can't go fully into yet, but we're going to continue to bring Polar as I don't want to say a one-stop shop area, but the more actual utility, not just the verbiage of utility, is our goal for Polar. The one thing we've seen in node projects is either they burn out in a week, which is unfortunate. We've been around for
Right.
a couple months, fortunately, or they have a runaway supply issue. Then it becomes very, very hard to keep up with that moving forward because there's no real utility to the token. What can you do with it? Why am I holding it except just to sell it? So as we develop here, this NFT marketplace is basically the launching pad of a larger vision that we have here in order to create an actual utility for Polar itself, to which people want to have Polar not just for the nodes, but for several other aspects, whether it's staking, whether it's a bond system, whether it's this Lucky Box lottery system, or whether it's things that we haven't quite debuted or released just yet. There's a lot that we're putting work into in order to create a more sustainable project in the long term. And that's a big, trigger word in the node community is how can I sustain a 3.5% return on our Everest node, for example? And as I've been very transparent from the start, those rates will have to change at some point. We've been with them for, I believe, a little over a month now, or right at a month, actually. So we've been holding up with them, but at some point we are going to need to decrease that ROI in order to further benefit the project and in the entirety of it. But that's not necessarily our primary focus. If you are just a project that reduces ROI to sustain the project, you're still pushing the Ponzi economic theory. You're going to get burnt out eventually. So our goal is to bring true utility and a true place where people want to access our network here, this whole Polar community, to which we're even going to move away from the node name of itself. So instead of Polar nodes, we're going to be looking at Polar or Polar Finance as a place to
Hmm.
operate here, so that we can fully push a vision that is going to allow us to be a little bit different than other simple node projects.
Yeah, you mentioned about the sustainability, and you went into some pretty good detail on that. That's one of the other questions that I had lined up. When we do get to that, you can just go ahead and reaffirm a couple of the key points, or if there's anything else that you didn't already touch on, we can go ahead and get on that one. But my next main question that I have before we get to that is, your team doxed or KYC? I know we can visually see you, but in general, is the team doxed or KYC'd?
As of right now, we don't have any formal KYC. We do have a crypto influencer by the name of Yanta who has a little over 100,000 followers. The rest of the core team is doxed to him, and he's obviously doxed because he's a crypto influencer on YouTube. That's their version of doxing to each other, I guess. So there's at least some sort of accountability there. That being said, there is no formal KYC just yet, and I would like to have some aspect of a KYC, even though we've seen it be a little bit unfortunately flawed in the past. That's kind of why I put myself out here. One of the big things we're looking to continue to push, and we're still doing the votes on it now, is a larger multi-sig than we currently have for the Treasury. So right now we have a 4-5, 4 out of 5 need to confirm it, and 3 of those are part of the core team. So really they can push through most things from there. We're going to expand that to a 4 out of 6, where 3 of the members of that multi-sig are directly from the community. And whether that's in Discord, we brought in Polar advisors, or somebody like myself or our marketing people who don't necessarily, we're not part of the creators or the founders or necessarily the core team. Half of us are going to be from the community, so we have a little bit of a different reason to be secured, if you could put it that way. And from that point, let's say there's 3 community members I can get, whether it's myself and 2 others or 3 others, it just depends how the vote goes. I would like for us all 3 to be KYC'd formally, at least so that we have a majority KYC or docs with Yanta, and then us 3, because that will create 4 out of 6, obviously. They're very well known, or at least KYC'd.
Okay. And do you have an audit?
So we are already voting on an audit. This new contract, when we go live here for this upgrade, and I'll also be, again, to reaffirm this, the DApp that you're navigating on that website is to be released. So when people go on there, they're not going to see that just yet.
Okay.
But once we get this out, it's going to be part of an upgrade to which we have 10 contracts that are working together as one larger contract. So we do need an audit of this new contract. If we do it on our current one, it's going to kind of be a moot point. But we do already have the vote secured where the community wants the audit. We just need to select who to get the audit with and get the audit from there. There'll be more votes through the Discord. We have a Dano vote section on there, and they'll be able to help us pick who we're going to go through to get the audit for that. But it's going to be one of the major players. We're not going to do some random third party somewhere and call it a clean sweep. We're going to do one of the major ones and get it all situated from that end.
Yeah. Good thing you don't go through like one that's like, hey, we're going through a new auditor. We started up the company. We're called Polar Nodes Auditor, and we're auditing our own project, right? Because that's totally not suspicious or anything.
No, that's a
I'm making a joke.
Used car mechanic shop theory. You buy your car there, they check it out on scene, and they're like, yeah, I'm sure this car is great.
Right?
So you don't want to do that.
Yeah, no. So just to reaffirm to everyone again, the fact that you're going to be going through credible resources, it's very nice and reassuring to hear about that for sure. So my next question is one that you already touched on, and I just wanted to go back to because it is something very important for many people that are getting involved in the node projects. And there are a lot of node projects that are emerging, which is about the sustainability. So can you just kind of go over that a little bit again? About how your project, Polar Nodes, is sustainable.
Right, yes. So sustainability is the primary factor in these projects. You don't want someone to either, make ROI early and then just hope that it works out for the best, or in the worst case scenario, somebody joins late in the game and they end up losing a ton of money because it just doesn't last any longer. So with all these node projects, they all, to be perfectly honest, they all start on the same Ponzi economic theory, which requires nodes to be created in order to sustain the ROI. If nodes stop being created and there's no other form of income, then the project will fail. There's no other way but for it to fail. So we are still in that transitionary stage where we do need nodes to be created at this point. To be completely honest, we have our structure laid out to which how much goes back to the treasury, how much goes back to the rewards distribution, all that stuff. So from this point, we need to transition to a more practical matter. So why does somebody want Polar tokens? That's a question that we have to answer. If they're only using it to purchase nodes, at some point you're going to run into a brick wall. And
Right.
I don't want to name drop, but there's other projects who I really enjoy and I hope that they succeed, but they've run into a little bit of a brick wall, and they're going to get there, and they're going to get their utility for it, and it's going to help them, but it's still a couple months out. So we're trying to get that out and live immediately so that we don't hit that wall, and then we can navigate through the secondary and tertiary effects of a project like this from a business standpoint, so that it's a business model and not that Ponzi economic theory from there. Ways we can do that. Again, I don't want to say that we're dropping rewards tomorrow or for the new update because that's not in the plans. The daily ROI will have to come down at some point. When we had the vote for these tiers and for the ROI, I put it right in the description. These rewards will be reduced at some point by vote. So that'll have to happen. And then from there, you need to create a business model. And that's what we're doing at this marketplace itself. And what we're also looking to do with some other things that are not quite released yet, but just talking to the core team, there's going to be a larger push for a true business to come from Polar. So we can move away from Polar nodes, and now we're a Polar finance, Polar industry, Polar business, whatever you want to call it.
What made you decide to dive into the node space?
So the core team, when they initially built it, to be very realistic with them, it was another one that popped up, another nodes project that just appeared into the space. It was shortly after there was some, I'll say, negative press with nodes, which you can timeline that around Christmas, right? So from there, a lot of node projects popped up because there was a demand for it. People want this passive income, and the theory is great. So during a bear market, you get passive income because you just get your daily returns, and during a bull market, the price of the token increases. So in theory, this whole node system could be truly revolutionary to the crypto industry in and of itself. Now, if these founders do it or not in each project is up to them. So our initial start was to build a project that was a little bit linear. I mean, like I said, it was pretty basic when we started, one node, and then from there we realized, hey, this isn't the way. You can't just be a Ponzi economic node project and expect to survive and thrive in the industry.
Right.
So from there, we just started working. Like, hey, how can we, as any small business would, you put your heads together, how can we get better? And that's kind of where we are today. So it started out pretty basic, and now we're evolving into a real business model.
Do you have any liquidity that's locked?
We do. So all of our liquidity is under a multi-sig, which is a 4-5 requirement. So it needs 4 confirmations out of 5 people on the multi-sig. So it is a locked liquidity currently. And last I checked, it's right around 900,000 we have in there, give or take by a little bit, just as claims come and go. It is locked liquidity.
And can you tell us more about your NFTs?
Sure. So the NFTs right now are going to be your nodes. So the nodes are going to be converted to NFTs. As we see on here, they have their labels, the Fuji, the Mount Blanc, the Kilimanjaro, the Ushuaia, which that's a mouthful if you're not from the region, or look it
Right.
up on the internet, which is what I did, or the Everest. So those will be turned into these NFTs. In the immediate, this allows them to at least be transferable in some aspect, which is very important for people who want to get it on a ledger or move it between wallets or whatever they want to do. It gives some flexibility from there. The NFTs at some point will become a scarcity economic theory once we have these hard node caps. So a lot of the protocol will be based on a hard node cap, and the NFTs are the product itself. So instead of just a node, they are an NFT that generate rewards, that generate different bonuses, and you know that's kind of the theory of it. So it's a little bit of a utility based NFT. This is just the phase 1 of it.
So that was all the questions that I had. Was there anything else that comes to your mind that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, sure. So the one thing I didn't go into too much that I'd like to at least put out there is another part of what we're doing with this NFT marketplace is going to be what's called a lucky box. So it's that lottery theory that we'll be able to have on our marketplace. This lucky box can do anything from give you, a bonus rewards period, boosted rewards, boosted ROI. It can give you what are called gold or silver of these NFTs, which are basically boosted nodes. It'll be a way for you to you spend some polar, you get that little gambling theory, and you hope for a big reward, but you're never really going to lose. You're always going to get something for it. So this has generated a ton of interest in our Discord, and the lucky boxes are something that I look forward to personally. But that'll allow a little bit more utility that are beyond the basic node aspect. And then one more thing that was just released by our lead developer Salty, which he just brought out to the public, I think, is we're going to have a limited edition tier 6 node. So name to be announced.
Oh, okay.
The exact amount to be announced, but it's going to be a significant price, limited edition, kind of like a special release for this, version 3 of our code and our project. So look out for that. There's gonna be some more news on that, and there's gonna be a couple people that can get those, and I look forward to seeing that.
So you're telling me you're going to have something that's bigger than Everest?
There's gonna be one that's bigger than Everest.
Wow. I wonder all the fan theories of what people are coming up with the name on that one. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
some of the names that they come out are pretty good. We'll see. Maybe they'll sway our interest.
Well, let me ask you, has anyone thrown out a theory yet that you've seen and you're like, oh, wow, that person actually guessed it right?
Yeah, so I'll say that there's some good guesses in the Discord.
Okay.
If people look through the Discord, so there's some good guesses. Whether it's the cost of the node or the name of the node, there are some good guesses out there.
Okay, I got you. So, ladies and gentlemen, that does it for this video. Again, you have an opportunity to win a nice sized reward for one of these nodes, which we will have a link to in the comments down below for the giveaway. And if you want to be able to find out more information on Polar Nodes, their website, their Twitter account, as well as their Discord, all those links will be included in the description down below. Neil, I want to thank you very much for your time, for coming in to help address these questions. But again, guys, feel free to reach out to them and ask more questions. And again, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, do not forget to hit subscribe. Hit that thumbs up like button. It helps out with the YouTube search algorithm. Click the bell icon. God bless, and I will see you in the next episode.